In immigration law, sometimes a change in the tiniest little detail can make the difference between a green card application being approved or denied. We saw a change in the law recently when the Department of State replaced what was called the 30-60-day rule with what is now being called the 90-day rule. This can have major effects on people's green card applications because it has to do with how the government figures out whether a person who came into the United States saying that they were here to visit was telling the truth or not. Now, to understand this, you need to understand a little bit about how the immigration process works for tourists or visitors. Anybody who wants to come to the United States to visit has to convince a consular officer or a CBP officer at the border that they're actually planning to return to their home country. Otherwise, they're not going to be allowed into the United States. Now, that's one reason why a lot of tourist visas are denied, because people haven't proven that they're going to return. But what happens when people come to the United States and then something happens or something changes and now they want permission to stay? How does the government figure out whether or not this really is a change or whether they were lying when they tried to get their tourist visa in the first place? Well, as much as they'd like to be, the immigration officials aren't mind readers. So they've come up with rules to try to tell them what to do. And one of these was known as the 30-60-day rule. What it said was, if somebody comes to the United States as a tourist or as a visitor, and then within 30 days they do something that indicates that they're planning on staying long term, an example might be getting married to a US citizen, then you can presume that they were lying when they came in and they weren't really planning to return. And that can be grounds towards trying to revoke a visa or problems with an application. If they do something within between 30 and 60 days, you don't presume it anymore, but you can ask for evidence to prove that that wasn't really what they were intending. Now, they've quietly changed this to 90 days. And that's a big difference. Let's take two people for an example. We'll just call them Joe and Mary. Joe and Mary have been dating. Joe lives outside the United States. He's not a US citizen. Mary lives here. Joe comes over to visit on a visitor's visa, or maybe using ESTA because he's from a country with a visa waiver. While he's in the United States, he proposes to Mary and she accepts. And they say, well, we'd really like to get married and stay. We don't want Joe to have to leave. How can they do that? Well, if they had come to see an immigration lawyer when they got engaged, and I've had couples that have done this, my advice would be, okay, you have to wait to get married until day 61 after you got here. Because if you do that, then the government's not going to assume you were lying when you wanted to come here as a tourist. It doesn't really have much to do with what the people were really thinking. It has to do with rules by which the government can try to figure it out. Well, that's now changed. And now, under the new rules, if Joe and Mary got married on day 61 and filed for a green card, there's a chance that the government could say, you know what, Joe, you were lying when you came here. And we're not only going to deny your green card, but we're going to seek to revoke your visa or revoke your ESTA. Now, even if they got married on day 89, they could have that problem. But if they got married on day 91, they'd probably be fine. This is an example of the tiny little things that immigration lawyers have to know about so that we can properly advise clients on what they need to do in their cases. And it's an example of why it's important to consult an immigration lawyer when you're trying to make these kinds of major life decisions that could lead to somebody moving here and seeking permission to stay. Don't rely just on something that you read on the internet or something that you read in a chat room, because that information could be outdated. You need to make sure when you're dealing with something as important and personal as whether you can get married and live in the United States, that you know what the law is now, so that you're prepared going forward to do what you need to do to have the best chance of success. That's part of the reason why we make these videos, because we want people to see and know about changes in the law so that they can act accordingly. If you've got questions about immigration law, or you need advice on your own case, or you have a case ongoing at the moment, please feel free to contact us and see if we can help you. You can reach us at area code 423-402-0608 or online at www.leicesterlaw.org. And if you find these videos helpful, then please follow us on Facebook or subscribe to us on YouTube so we can keep you updated on a regular basis about how things are changing. Details. The devil is always in the details. We're here to help you try to navigate around it. So, until next time, stay strong, stay safe. We'll see you soon.